sure that this Commonwealth stays a great place in this country. With no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Governor Tom Corbett.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank all of you for coming out today, and I want to thank the Joint Veterans Memorial Day Commission for inviting me to attend today. As you can imagine, it is truly an honor to speak on such a really special day, a special event on one of our most important holidays. But before I go forward with the remarks that I have, many of you have served or are serving right now. And since many of you are already standing, we can't do that. Any of you who have been in the military and have served in the military, would you raise your hand? Take a look around. Thank you for your service. Thank you so much for your service. Earlier, while we were waiting for the parade to conclude, I had an opportunity to talk to the junior ROTC class. It's a class that is actually going to be representing Pennsylvania next year over in Normandy at the ceremony over there. Now, they're fundraising. They didn't ask me to do this. But for those of you who are here, help them get to Normandy, because I know we're going to do that too. They are our future. They are our future soldiers and sailors and airmen and women, our future Coast Guard people, probably first responders. The reason this country is the greatest land in the world is because we continue to create people who understand that freedom is not free, and that you have to be willing to sacrifice in order to keep your freedom. And this is the next generation coming along. This is a day that is a time, as you've heard, to honor the sacrifice of those who have fought and died in the struggles for liberty throughout our history. It's time to thank those who protect our freedoms today. We have in our nation a long tradition of devoted soldiers who gave their lives and ideals and principles, gave their lives for those ideals and principles. Their stories can inspire us, and you see them in movies, you see them on television, you hear them if you talk to family members. For instance, there was the young staff sergeant during World War II who gave his life while charging 30 years through waist-deep snow while throwing grenades to knock out a machine gun and his 3-man crew. He saved his platoon from being decimated, and it allowed them to continue their advance from an open field into the protection of a wooded area. Or a young Navy SEAL serving during the Iraq War, who, without regard for his own safety, and despite the fact that he could have escaped the blast, dove on a nearby grenade from his sniper position, saving the lives of 2 of his fellow SEALs. These are just 2 examples of the hundreds or maybe thousands of the kind of heroism and sacrifice that we should be honoring today. But not just today on Memorial Day, we should be doing this every day. The freedoms that each of us experience every day, the freedom to cast a ballot and to vote who you wish to vote for, to question our leaders, to protect against injustice. These freedoms are earned and protected by the brave men and women who are committed to the principle that we enshrined in our Declaration of Independence, that we all have certain unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Whether it be from Gettysburg to Iwo Jima to Afghanistan, American soldiers have fought and died to preserve their principles and to preserve the principles that our nation was founded upon. Each one of us owes a tremendous debt of gratitude that can never be fully repaid. What we can do, what we should do, is honor them, remember them, and thank them, and be a people that is worthy of their sacrifice. It is fitting that we are here. And I think, Mr. President, you said this in that very short, eloquent speech. It is fitting that we are here today on this battlefield, where in 1863, 2 great armies would meet to fight the battle that turned the tide of the Civil War and brought the nation one step closer to liberty for all of its people. As we stand here looking across this solemn battlefield, remember the sacrifice of the brave souls who laid down their lives for their country. As you know, for 3 bloody days, brave men fought and died so that this country could finally live up to its credo that all men are created equal. Every time I come here, I have a feeling that overwhelms me, and I'm sure that you do. You can feel the spirit of this place. There are a couple places in this country that you can go to do that. Most recently, we have one not far from here, maybe a little over 100 miles. And it wasn't soldiers, but it turned into be citizen soldiers who stopped the plane from going to Washington and crashing into a building there and crashed into a field on the hilltops of Somerset County in Shanksville. You get the same feeling when you go there. And it's hard to put it into exact words, but that feeling, that reverence is there. From Culp's Hill to Cemetery Ridge here in Gettysburg remains a symbol of the sacrifice that reminds each one of us what the price of freedom really is. There are a few places on this planet that have produced so many stories of heroism, of bravery, of sacrifice. Here, heroes truly became legends. Legends like Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. You know who he was. He was a teacher who later became governor. I have an affinity for governors. We have Governor Andrew Curtin down in the second row here in front of us. He was the commander of the 20th Maine Infantry Regiment. Chamberlain's regiment, as you know, came under heavy attack from the Confederates on Little Round Top. And the 20th Maine ran low on their ammunition after continuous fighting. And as you know, the Confederates planned another charge up the hill. And Chamberlain made a very bold decision, and many at the time probably questioned what he was doing, when he ordered his own charge down that hill with fixed bayonets, surprising and scattering the Confederates. Had the 20th Maine retreated from the hill, the entire Union line would have been flanked. And the North would mostly have lost the battle, quite possibly the war, and our nation as we know it. Chamberlain's bold decision turned the tide of history. The South would never again enter Northern soil. And the North achieved a much-needed boost in morale. For his actions, Chamberlain earned the Congressional Medal of Honor, but he also earned his country's enduring gratitude. There are countless other stories from this historic battle, but this one really stands out more than most, especially on a day like today. It teaches us all a little about America's fighting men and women. They rise to challenges that are before them. They meet those challenges head on with ingenuity and boldness. They fight for the cause of freedom, and they never retreat. Today is a day when we honor all of those who embody these values and fight for their nation with pride and devotion. We remember those brave and women who have had the courage to fight for America and the commitment to give what President Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion for their country. So to all of our veterans out there today, to the servicemen and women today, to the families of servicemen and women who have been lost in our wars or who have died subsequently, to all of these, thank you. On behalf of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and a grateful nation, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Governor Corbett. Another great speech. Seems like Gettysburg is the place to give great speeches for all time. We are blessed again this year to have a Memorial Day musical salute by the 11th Pennsylvania Fife and Drum under the direction of Sergeant David Swisher and the Royal Canadian Legion Pipes and Drums. Gentlemen, if you will.